All right. Welcome. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. We are continuing our wellness theme of optimizing physical fitness. And so if you guys are here just for trading, understand there is a bigger picture to what we're trying to facilitate here in this community. I often say, or I use the popular phrase, how you do one thing is how you're going to do everything. So if there are aspects of your life that are lacking, to put it nicely, you are going to see those negative habits immediately in a big way affect how you trade and how that discipline turns out in your trading risk management plan and your strategy as a whole. So we incorporate a couple lessons here weekly. I'll do risk management, I'll do psychology, and I'll do wellness. So today is wellness. We're continuing on our 4-week series of optimizing physical fitness. Week 1, we went into the introduction to resistance training. Then we went into week 2, being the intro to cardio. Week 3 was combining the two for maximum results. And today is going to be our last part in this optimizing physical fitness series. And we're finding long-term strategies. So today's lesson is titled Long-Term Fitness Strategies. And I broke it down into 3 digestible chunks for us. It's not going to be too long. My goal with these lessons are going to be to provide you guys with protocols that are concise and actionable, so you can move in, watch these lessons quickly, and then move about your day in a enlightened way. So let's jump into it. So the 3 parts I broke it down to are: 1, key components for sustaining physical progress. Part 2 is methods for tracking progress and preventing burnout or injury. And lastly, I have part 3, and I have insights from Dr. Huberman and Dr. Andy Galpin. So Andrew Huberman, he's a neurobiologist, ophthalmologist, really smart guy over at Stanford School of Medicine. And then Dr. Andy Galpin is a doctor of kinesiology, and he's out of Cal State Fullerton, I believe. Both really well-respected individuals when we're talking about these subjects. So I included some stuff from them, and I pull a lot of my data from them as well, and the research that they cite. So we're going to dive into it, but if at any time you guys want me to slow down, speed up, you have questions, you want me to elaborate on something a bit more in depth, please just let me know, and I will go ahead and do so. My goal is to make these classes beneficial for you guys, so your feedback and your voice definitely helps me do that. So part 1, key components for sustaining physical progress: consistency, recovery, and nutrition. Jumping into consistency when we're talking about sustaining physical fitness. Consistency refers to the regular and sustained effort towards physical fitness, prioritizing routine over sporadic intensity. So I think we've all had that burst of motivation in the past where we start working out. Maybe we go for a run, do some HIIT workouts, maybe we do some boxing, or whatever it might be. We get these extrinsic motivators that really aren't sustainable long term. So the goal is to live a healthy and long life. And how we achieve that is through consistency. So the benefits are: regularity in workouts leads to steady progress over time, and habit formation is essential for long-term success. So I know this sounds elementary, but there's a reason I'm putting this in there. That after the age of 30, there's something called muscle atrophy that starts to take place, and it gets worse over the years. You will start to lose muscle mass unless you are eating properly, so getting the proper nutrition to sustain your muscle, and also incorporating resistance training. So when I say, or when I talk about regularity in workouts in this consistency, it is so important. 1, if you're below the age of 30, to build up a good base of skeletal muscle as you go into your later years. And if you're over 30, you need to offset that muscle atrophy, or you are setting yourself up for failure long term. It is a fact of biology. It's a fact of our existence. And oftentimes you may have even people in your family, I know I do, who have neglected their health for a long time, many decades, and now they're reaping what they sowed. And it is not just a burden on their lifestyle, it is a burden on the lifestyle of those who care most about them. So it's not just selfish. I know many of us may have the old way of thinking, like, training with weights is only for bodybuilders and athletes. It's really not for me. It doesn't do much benefit. Well, it actually really does have a massive benefit in not only your hormone regulation, but your overall health. And it helps reduce cortisol in your bloodstream. It helps reduce norepinephrine, epinephrine. It essentially bringing down your stress levels, which we know is having chronic stress leads to a myriad of other detrimental health issues. So working out is so much more important than we might be led to believe. So my goal is to just educate everybody or remind people that to get back into the gym or to start the gym for the first time, because it is so important. So part 2 in our first section is recovery. So recovery is, I would argue, just as important, or if not more important than working out. Maybe not more important, but it's right up there, because if you overwork yourself, your body will never have time to fully recover, and it will lead to a regression of your immune system if you start to overwork it, and then you won't be able to fight off diseases or viruses or whatever it might be. So recovery is important, and the main topic I talk about here is sleep. So a definition for us: recovery is the process by which your body repairs itself post-exercise, with sleep being a critical component. Pretty elementary, we know this. So adequate recovery helps prevent injuries and burnout while improving physical performance, and sleep is vital for muscle recovery and overall cognitive function. So I'm putting this in a really digestible manner. I could really go into depth here, but I don't want to waste too much of our time for the scientific details. But sleep is essential. We know this, and we're starting to understand it more and more as we come out with more scientific literature supporting this. But what we should be aiming for is 7 to 9 hours of sleep nightly, and during recovery days. So say you want to work out your legs, do resistance training on Monday, give yourself 48 hours before, typically around 48 hours, unless you really know what you're doing, before you hit that muscle group again. And again, I'm keeping this surface level. If you guys would like to dive in more about specific goal setting and how you might start getting back into the gym, or how to optimize your workout regimen already, reach out to me in my DMs. I will gladly help you through your workout regimen. So 7 to 9 hours of sleep is what we should be aiming for in consistency. So waking up at the same time every morning, going to sleep at the same time every night. It's essential. I could really go into that. If you guys have not heard of Dr. Matthew Walker, he's out of the UK, I believe. He's incredible. He's a sleep scientist. He's been in that realm of science for I think 15 plus years, and he's well respected across the world for his research in sleep. He does a podcast with Dr. Andrew Huberman on the Huberman Lab podcast. Highly recommend his work. It will really change the way you think about sleep and how important it is, and how it's truly like the best health insurance you could have on yourself. So moving right along, we have nutrition, which again, so many people neglect. So proper nutrition is the intake of balanced nutrients to fuel your body for workouts and recovery. Again, elementary stuff, but these foundations is what our biology is built on, and we need to respect our biology if we want to optimize our health and longevity. So a balanced diet supports muscle repair, it boosts energy, and ensures overall physical fitness. And you might be saying to yourself, yeah, I learned this in elementary school, John. I know this. Yet, are you really paying attention to what you put into your body? Are you reaching for the organic option? Do you know that most of the grain in the US that's consumed by Americans is sprayed with pesticides that does not get removed during processing? And then it is to sustain shelf life, the preservatives that they add into it. And it's also typically baked and bleached at a very high level of heat, which removes all the nutrients. They may add the nutrients back in later, but the lack of natural nutrients, the bleach that they put in it, the preservatives, and then the pesticides is all going into your body. If you guys did not know, the CDC predicts by 2050 a 50% increase in overall cancer. I believe it was even higher than that, actually. Someone can fact check me. I believe it was higher than 50% increase in overall of all cancers that we will see in Americans. So if you know someone that has cancer, or you have had cancer in the past, just know that the people around you will be getting cancer as well. And we know now that it is all because of what we are putting into our body. So next time you're in the grocery store, just reach for that organic option. I know it's more expensive, but it's like, are you so worried about your finances that you can't allocate money from your entertainment budget to your overall health to avoid cancer or to improve your overall fitness? Just look at your priorities in life and navigate your budget accordingly would be my advice. So we should focus on protein-rich foods for muscle repair and include carbohydrates for energy. Ensure adequate hydration to support overall bodily function during and after workouts. Again, foundational stuff, guys, but 70% of all Americans are chronically dehydrated. And I'm giving you guys all these problems, but how do I fix my chronic dehydration? Well, in the morning, a routine that is really beneficial for me, I have a water bottle. I don't have an open cup just because the water deoxidized overnight tastes bad in the morning. I'm sure we've all experienced it, but I have a water bottle in a glass bottle next to my nightstand. And as soon as I wake up, it has a little bit of salt in it for the sodium, the electrolytes, and I drink 16 ounces of water as soon as I get up, and I drink another 16 ounces of water before the first 4 hours of me waking. So I wake up typically around 7:15, 7:30, and if before 11 is usually when I'm aiming to get 32 ounces of water in, and then I do that same thing after lunch, 16 ounces of water, and then 16 ounces of water before bed, typically aiming from anywhere from 60 to 80 ounces of water a day. Again, it's a lot of water, but it's for good reason. It's to improve my health and to optimize my health, essentially. Anyway, moving on to touch one last part on nutrition. When we talk about protein, most Americans, I should say, I know there's some of us from other countries, so I can't speak on your diet. I don't know what most of you guys are eating from wherever you might be, but I know for Americans that we are eating way too many carbohydrates and we're not getting enough protein. So what does that lead to? Excess glucose storage in our bloodstream. It would lead to fatty tissue. And it's not just fat on the outside of your muscle, guys. If you're not including resistance training and you're eating excess carbohydrates and sugars, that fat, I know it's gross, but integrates into your skeletal muscle. So if you guys have ever eaten Wagyu steak, it's gross to think about, but that is truly what is happening in your body if you are not prioritizing your skeletal muscle health. So when I talk about resistance training and when I talk about getting proper nutrition, it is for a reason, and I could link some really well done scientific literature to back what I'm saying, but it's so important that we start to shift this sedimentary lifestyle with eating these feel-good foods to really start focusing on our health, because it is, if we continue on the trend we're going, it is rough, guys. Almost 50% of all Americans are obese. I'm not talking overweight, guys. Over nearly 50% of all Americans are obese. Then obesity, I think the CDC has it at 30% body fat for males. It might be a little over for females. And the average weight in America, or BMI, I should say, is 29%. Whew. We need to start changing things, folks. It is not good. So if you guys, again, have questions on nutrition, I've been studying this stuff for a couple of years and I love to do research on it. So if you guys have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If I don't know how to answer that question properly, I will go find that information for you. So seriously, reach out to my DMs. It's too important for us to neglect this stuff. So moving on, we're wrapping up. We're into our second half of the lesson. So methods for tracking progress and preventing burnout or injury. I would say truly the number one thing we should focus on when we're trying to focus on our overall health and longevity is injury prevention. And I say this from personal experience. My friends might know the tip of the iceberg of all my injuries, what I sustained when my time in the service. And I am battling a recovery road now for going into year 4 of a lot of ligament issues, soft tissue damage, tears in my discs in my back, and some skeletal bone injuries. And it will keep you from working out. And we know that not working out, not incorporating not incorporating resistance training and cardio into your lifestyle will lead to a regression of your overall health. Not only your physical health, but your mental health, because of that chronic stress that tends to creep in on us. The lack of endorphins being released. We know that all these feel-good chemicals and dopamine happens and is sustainable through working out. Our immune system functions better. Everything is good about moving our body and using it the way it was supposed to be used. So preventing injury is super important. So if you guys are interested in starting out into the gym and you don't know how, again, reach out to me. But if you just want to pull a workout off the internet, you can do so. Just when you start lifting weights again or running again or whatever it might be for you, start slow. If you're lifting weights, leave yourself 4 reps in the tank. Like, instead of pushing to muscle failure, really say, okay, I could do 4 more of these bicep curls, but I'm done. Just to help warm up not only those muscles and those ligaments for not being in use for a long time, but to also train your nervous system to fire those muscles again. Because as for more experienced lifters in here, you might know this, but for those of us who don't know, if you are getting into a new movement that your body is not used to, you are not going to be able to push up as much weight, even though the muscle might be capable of it, because our nervous system does not know how to properly fire all the neurons it takes for each individual muscle. So like for bench, for example, if you get back into the gym, you would be able to push up probably 100 plus more pounds within 4 weeks, just because your body is now more suited for pushing that weight. And I know that sounds, I'm missing the literature here, but it's not just about the muscle, it's about your nervous system being able to fire properly and get your muscles moving in conjunction with each other, essentially. So start off slow. If you're getting back into it, you will really, really thank yourself in the future. And also, listening to your body is super important. Don't push through things that really hurt. It's not worth it. It will lead to long-term regression rather than progression, even though in the moment it may seem like I should just push through it, get to the end of my set, take a breather. It's not worth it. So for tracking progress, I highly recommend using something like a fitness app or a journal for your first couple of months back into the gym, or it doesn't have to be in the gym. If you're working out at home or going for runs or jogs or whatever it is, just mark down your mile time and how far you went, or the exercise you did and the weight you did it for how many sets and reps. It doesn't have to be in depth, but it really will help you see that progress, and it will help that feedback loop when we talk about consistency and discipline, how consistency is more important than these sporadic bouts of motivation to get working out again. Looking back at your notes and taking progress pictures is also something that I highly recommend. It's really, really cool to be able to see your progress, even over 1 month, 4 weeks of training. I have a frog in my throat. One moment, folks. Thanks for bearing with me so far. So we're moving into our last part here. So we went over preventing injury. I had some notes about that, but we covered most of it. For those of you who already are in the gym and have been consistent for a while, you should start to incorporate deload weeks. So say you have 3 months of hard hypertrophy training. I would recommend 4 weeks of lighter weight, just focusing purely on form and movement of your body. Incorporate more and more stretching, just to slow down for a second and really listen to your body. Make sure nothing's aching and hurting in all ranges of motions. So if you have been consistent, just plan on incorporating a deload week or a deload month, even depending on how long you've been in the gym for. So our last part is just a couple insights from Dr. Huberman and Dr. Galpin. So for consistency and habit formation, we have some stuff from Dr. Andrew Huberman. So building habits through consistent routines helps establish long-term fitness success by linking workouts to daily habits. This stuff's really powerful. So for example, setting workout times at consistent points in your day, like after your morning coffee, for example, to make exercise an automatic part of your daily routine. So if you guys have not read the book by James Clear titled Atomic Habits, highly recommend it. It really helped me break a lot of bad habits and form a lot of good habits, and just really educate me on how the brain works when we talk about habit formation. And doing something like putting your workout shoes near the door or setting out your workout outfit the night before if you're going to work out in the morning is really beneficial for getting momentum built up into your routine. And so it just starts to become automatic to where you have your morning coffee, you put it in the sink, and your workout outfit's already ready to go. You change, you get in the car, and you go to the gym. Or you change and you go for the run, or you change and you do whatever you need to do. But incorporating these cues in your life is really beneficial for habit formation. So I highly recommend it. And I also highly recommend that book, Atomic Habits. So again, touching one more time on recovery and sleep. This stuff's from Dr. Huberman. So Huberman highlights sleep as the most crucial aspect of recovery, aiding in muscle repair and cognitive function. So I briefly covered sleep, but I talked about that series with Dr. Matthew Walker on Huberman's podcast, but it truly changed how I sleep and the way I think about sleep and how much more I prioritize it after listening to Matthew Walker talk about it. It's incredible. It is so incredible how the brain really works. Because if you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint, like sleeping is just the worst thing that could possibly happen. Like you should be on guard. You should be either procreating or gathering food or starting a fire or doing whatever, and all of a sudden you're asleep for a third of the day. Like it has to be so important. And through the scientific literature and research, we're really finding out how important sleep is, and it's mind-blowing and it's fascinating and it's beautiful. But anyway, get your sleep is what I'm trying to say. So Huberman, again, briefly, Huberman has 8 pillars of health when we're talking about health as a whole. These are in no specific order, but I really would put sleep at the top, near the top of this list. The 8 pillars of health is sleep, sunlight and darkness, exercise, stress management, relationships, including to yourself, nutrients, which would include the amount, the timing, the content, your oral health and gut microbiome, and spiritual grounding. And I could go into depth in each one of those. I've done tons of research. I love Huberman's content. If you guys have questions about that, please jump into it. But those are his, as a researcher and a neurobiologist and scientist, that's his list after decades of studying. And sleep would fall. And here he is when we're talking about recovery for physical working out and ailments and whatever it might be. he's highlighting that sleep is the most crucial aspect of recovery. So if you are not in a consistent sleep cycle right now, and maybe it's because of work, but really try to align with your natural circadian rhythm and get consistent sleep, because it's just it's amazing. I can't go over it enough. But anyway, get your sleep, folks. And my last point here is by Dr. Galpin. It's talking about avoiding overtraining. So he emphasizes the importance of listening to your body and adjusting workout intensity to prevent overtraining. So I can attest to this all day long. As I mature in my workout journey and in my physical body, the more I listen to my body, the better it is. So I used to be extremely regimental and extremely set to where, hey, I'm doing this weight for this amount of sets, for this amount of reps per week, and I'm doing that without fail. And that led to injuries. And it may not be, me pushing, and then all of a sudden something tears. It was never an injury like that, but it would not be listening to my body. Something's clicking, something's not feeling right. And I would just keep pushing. And I'm telling you right now, if you really do want to set yourself on the right, or start on the right foot when you start getting back into the gym, or really starting for the first time, preventing injury and listening to your body goes one and the same. They're hand in hand. So just truly listen to your body. You could go into that in depth, but each of us have our own way of listening to our body. So just lean into that feeling. And then practical tip at the end from Dr. Galpin: use perceived effort ratings to gauge workout intensity and adjust accordingly. So what do I mean by, or what does he mean by use perceived effort rating? So if, like, for example, HIIT workout, a high intensity interval training workout, which means you're typically pushing to 80 to 90% of your max heart rate, means you're really working hard for a couple seconds, and then you're breaking for a couple seconds, and then you're really working hard, and then you break. And to this perceived effort rating is something you can jot down in your notes, or just take a mental note of it. When you're working out, if you feel really, really exhausted, like I'm not talking about like a normal like I pushed hard and I feel tired, I need to go get sleep and have proper nutrients to help my body recover. I mean, if you're like, holy crap, like that just really took something out of me and I don't feel so good after this, you should take note of that. And then the next week, if you're doing the same workout, back off. Don't push as hard. And we know working out, using our body is really good for our biology, our health, our longevity. But if you push too hard and if you feel a little sick, first of all, if you're sick, don't go to the gym. You just make it worse for everybody. But if you feel a little sick and you think like I should go move my body and stuff, you're right. Go get sunlight, go get proper sleep, go get your proper nutrients, move your body. But don't go push hard in the gym. Don't go do a HIIT workout and do sprints outside. It actually degrades your immune system, and whatever your body's fighting, it's not going to do its optimal job if you push yourself hard. And it's kind of, I don't know if catch-22 would be the right word, but or phrase. So when you're feeling sick, you should move your body, but you should be prioritizing more so your sleep, your recovery, your nutrition, all that stuff, instead of just being like, you know what, I told myself I'm going to work out, I'm not feeling good, I'm just going to go work out. Like, truly, when we talk about listening to your body, that's when it's time to listen to your body and slow down. So that's what I got. I know that was a lot of jargon. It was a longer lesson today, but this is really just a capstone of our 4-week series, and I wanted to make sure I hit all the points that we covered in the last 3 weeks. When we talk about resistance training, when we talk about cardio, when we talk about incorporating the two, and here we are talking about long-term fitness strategies to maintain consistency. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me and going through this whole thing with me. If you guys, and I truly mean this when I say it, if you guys don't know where to start and you want to start, reach out to me in my DMs. I am open at 24/7. I may not respond to you 24/7, but I will get back to you within a day. And I've already had a couple people in this Discord reach out to me, some about workout programs, some about their nutrition, some about like, hey, I've never stepped foot into the gym in my entire life, and I don't know, and I know I eat unhealthily, I know I'm overweight, like where do I start? And I am so happy to get those, because it's that mindset is going to change your life for the better. And reach out to, if it's not me, go research it on your own on the internet, or reach out to someone you trust and start working out, start prioritizing your health. Because again, it's not just, to me, it's selfish not to, because eventually if you are gifted with a long life, you will become a burden because of your physical health. And again, we know it is a detriment to not only your physical health, but your mental health. And I often think about our life as a whole as a tripod, and the legs of the tripod would be your physical health, your mental health, and your spiritual health. So if any one of those is getting weak, the whole thing may come toppling over. So I just want you guys to really do the best for yourselves, do the best for your family. So here's your reminder to start working out, to start eating right, to get your sleep right, to drink water, do the whole thing, guys. Also work on those relationships. I'll leave you with this, and I'll stop yapping in your ear. Again, Huberman's 8 pillars of health that we really should be prioritizing. Sleep, sleep, sunlight and darkness, how important sunlight is in the morning to set our circadian rhythm. Exercise, like we've just talked about. Stress management, incorporating something to reduce your stress daily. That may be a breathing exercise, that may be sitting down with the kids for 5 minutes, that may be going outside. Whatever it is for you, incorporate something daily to reduce stress in your life. Relationships, we should always be focusing on relationships. To me, in this world, relationships will be at the top of my priority for everything in life. All of my worldly possessions could fade away as long as I still maintain my relationships. So we need to be focusing on that. And that might be true for you as well. Like, what do you truly care about? If you take away your comfortable home and your car and whatever possessions you might have, like, what is your purpose? What do you really want to focus on? And for me, community and relationships always fall to that top of the list. And I would say just as important when we talk about relationships is your relationships to yourself. And I often talk about how if you do not truly love yourself, how on earth could you possibly truly love someone else? And that may be a conflicting statement to some of us, but I'm saying and I don't mean to say like, hey, you can't love anyone if you don't love yourself. That's not what I'm saying. If you want to best love someone else, if you truly want to give them the best version of yourself, you have to give the best version to yourself too. So that includes working out. That includes getting your shit together and paying attention to what your body's telling you. Like, get your nutrition, your diet, your sleep right. Like, get these things right. And you're not only yourself will help you, but you'll be able to love other people better. You'll be able to facilitate better relationships as a whole. And so relationships are so important. And then his 6th point is nutrients. We talked about that. Oral health and gut microbiome. That may sound like some new age jargon to some of us, but you think about your oral health for a second. There's this hole in our body that is moist. And I know that sounds gross for some of us, but it is a environment where bacteria thrives. And we also know that the blood-brain barrier through your mouth is very easy to cross. So that's why you sometimes hear, sadly, about people getting gum disease, and then 2 weeks later they're dead. And that's because that bacteria can pass so easily from your blood to your brain when talking about bacteria in your mouth. So think about that truly. Like, it's just this wet spot where you are constantly putting things into it. And if you're not taking proper care of that, if you're not brushing your teeth, taking care of your tongue, eating right to promote healthy nutrients and bacteria in your health, it's just the grossest thing in the world. It's just going to build up all the stuff you don't want. It's going to kill all the stuff you do want. And it's just bad news all around. So here's your reminder to brush your teeth and do the right thing. And If you're using mouthwash, stop using it. I could link something in the bio, but it kills way too many good bacteria in your mouth to use or to even come close to making up for the fact that it does kill bad bacteria. If you want to wash your mouth out, just use a bunch of salt and just pour a ton of salt or baking soda into water, swish that around your mouth. Just the abrasion of that salt or baking soda will help, and then you can just spit it out and get rid of it. And then point number 8 is spiritual grounding. Truly do something for your spiritual health. It should be every day. If you're only doing it Sundays at church or not at all, I think intuitively, even though you might not be thinking about it, you know that there may be something that is not fully fulfilling in your life. There's a purpose that you're missing. And if that's the case with you, if that resonates with what I just said, you should really start to shift your paradigm and to really think like, man, I am missing something. I don't know what it is. I fill it with, what I eat, what, I enjoy with my hobbies, my friends, my girlfriend, my wife, whatever it might be. But you may feel a lack of purpose, a lack of self. And I would bet that your spiritual health isn't doing so hot. So I'd recommend just to start meditating on that phrase. And I'm not talking about it, even though I'm not degrading meditating either, but I'm not talking about sitting here. And if this is not your thing, to sit here for 20 minutes and focus on your breath, don't do that. Maybe just go for a walk without your phone and think about, man, where did this all come from? Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? And if you're having trouble finding that answer, I think for all of us, there's a spark in us from childhood that we should really pay attention to. What were you really drawn to as a child? And what really excites you still to this day when you hear about it or you interact with it or whatever it might be. For some people, that's studying science. For some people, that's studying people. For some people, that's, basketball, whatever it might be. Truly think about what excites you and what really brings you purpose and focus on that, because you could fill your entire life with worldly possessions and things that really make you feel good and comfortable, but deep down there's a part of you that's missing. And for me, I know that God is the one who sent me here, and I will be reunited with him, and he's here with me always. And so for me, it's easy to say, but I was not in that place even 3 years ago. And I was total atheist, or maybe not atheist. I think deep down I really knew there was God, but I would curse him out. Like, if you are God, you are the worst person ever. Like, you allow all this pain and suffering, and it took me a long time to get to where I'm at now. And this is just encouragement for you guys who do feel a lack of purpose and a lack of something. You're just missing something. To focus on your spiritual health, guys. It's that's everything, truly. So I appreciate you guys listening to me rant over and over again in these lessons. I know your time is precious, so I really do appreciate you guys. I love you. If you guys need anything from me, reach out to me. If it's constructive criticism too, I highly encourage that as well. So I thank you guys tons. If you guys don't have any questions for me in the chat, I will let you guys go. So I'll take a moment to see if you guys have anything for me. Oh yeah, talking about $1,000 on a new phone, but a new mattress. Yeah, my room is just for sleeping. My walls are bare, so I got a lot of inspiration from. Oh man, I'm forgetting his name. Rick Rubin. If you guys haven't heard of him, he's a creative genius, and I got a lot of insight from him talking about, if you want to be creative, your body should be completely still, and the environment you're in should be bare, and your mind should be really active. And I incorporated that into my room. And then also for sleep, I don't do anything else in there except for study the Bible and go to sleep. That's all my room's for. So I take my sleep so serious now, especially after listening to Matthew Walker and Andrew Huberman talk about it. These wellness classes are more important to me. And I have been doing this since 4 years as a trader than technical knowledge. I often talk about that, man. I appreciate you recognizing that. But I say to every new trader that comes to me, I used to be a technical coach when I used to trade supply and demand, or I still do trade supply and demand, but I used to teach supply and demand strategies and trendline trading. And I always say now more than ever that your mental discipline and your overall psychology behind trading is so much more important than the technical knowledge. My youngest client I've ever taught was 12 years old. His dad was now a friend of mine, but he was paying me really good money to teach his 12-year-old, and I could teach him all the technical knowledge in the world, and he would pick up on it. He was great. And then I get people in here who are 35 years old with a really good career, and they can't trade for the life of them. It's not about the technical knowledge. It's about the discipline that comes with this and how important your risk management plan is and your strategy and getting that all set up. Yeah, I completely agree. Cocoa oil pulling too. Yeah, if you're talking about for your gut microbiome and oral health, coconut oil is super good. It not only whitens your teeth, but it also helps kill some bad bacteria, promotes good health, and also tastes better than most mouthwashes anyway. But truly don't use mouthwash. Like 99% of them on the market are doing more harm than they are doing good. So drop that, just get a good toothbrush. And if you still want to wash your mouth out, use coconut oil, baking soda, or salt, and it will do a better job actually. Well, we got one more guy typing in the chat. If you guys gotta go, you gotta go. Appreciate you guys being here. TheraBreath is good. It's pH balance. I'll have to look into it, see what it is. I did quite a bit of research into oral health when I found out how important it was, and it was recommended by most dentists to throw your mouthwash out. Thanks, John. I appreciate your wellness and words of encouragement. Sometimes we forget about how important these things are when life is hitting us in the face. Yeah, it's like these are really good for me too. I'm not talking to you guys on a pedestal here. Like, it's daily work. It's daily practices and habits to keep yourself at an optimal level. Like, I think that's all what we're striving for, is just to live our best life. And what does that mean to you? To me, a lot of what I want in life, it comes down to discipline. And so, and coming back to the foundations and just really focusing on what life is really about. So these classes help me too. When I'm doing the research and I'm putting in the work and writing all this stuff out, I have to sit there and reflect for a moment. Like, man, am I doing all this in my life? It's like, okay, I need to kind of change my habits in this area when I'm talking about certain things. Like, I need to start doing this more. So this stuff's really good for me too. Still hanging in there. We still got 15 people. Man, I usually lose my audience by this time. John, what would you tell someone that is negative and trying to overcome being that way? So I'm not a neurobiologist, but I have done some research in the psychology behind negative thinking and positive reinforcement and what it does. But I can tell you from what I do know, that habit formation is essentially neurons and neurotransmitters in your brain. And the more you do one thing, the easier it is for you to do that thing, because between neurons, that gap is strengthened. You can think about that gap as open space, like truly open space. And it's literally electricity trying to jump that gap. And the more that electricity jumps the gap, the stronger that connection is going to be. So every thought you have is an electrical impulse in your brain at its core. That's what's happening. And then there's also chemical things that happen as well. Of course, we know that. But essentially what it is, bad negative thoughts, the whole thing is bad habits. And we know that these connections, because they're so strong, it is way harder to start thinking the opposite direction. Because if you're presented with whatever it is that makes you frustrated, let's say, for example, it's driving in traffic and you get cut off. You may have been living for a long time to think negatively and to curse that person out and to get frustrated. And that little thing, that 10-second thing that just happened, has ruined the rest of your day because of that negative thinking. And it's just a downhill spiral. Typically, those strong connections that lead you in that direction, also, that's now a new cue. And that new cue leads to more bad thoughts. Like, why the F did that guy just do that? Like, yeah, I don't even want to get into it. For me, it's hard to talk about that stuff because I know the more we talk about it, the more we think negatively, the stronger those connections get in our brain. So again, I would highly recommend Atomic Habits by James Clear. Great book to think about it logically and analytically. And for me, improving myself comes down to understanding, because if I don't understand why something is helping me, and if I don't know it intuitively, I'm not going to do it. I have to understand it. And so me understanding the structures in the brain, the chemicals that happen with it, is super beneficial. So books like Atomic Habits and listening to people like Andrew Huberman, and who did I just listen to that I gained tremendous wisdom from? Man, I'll have to find her name for you guys. But essentially what you need is to start breaking those bad habits and start building good ones. And so how do you do that? One, being mindful is super important. So I talk about when we were in our psychology classes, we're covering emotional regulation and emotional intelligence this month. And a big part of that is being mindful of those emotions, because so often we are stuck in the trenches and we really can't pull ourselves out of our daily life. And what's really happening are these flood of chemicals in your bloodstream and connections in your brain. And it's all subconscious. You're really not thinking like, I'm feeling this way right now. Like, I should sit back and reflect on what I'm feeling right now. And okay, I'm a little bit frustrated at what just happened because my expectations were this and my expectations were not reached. I would reckon the vast majority of us are not doing that when we feel strong emotions come on to us. So I would highly recommend just actionable protocol moving forward to help you get out of that negative headspace is to be mindful of it. Say, okay, I know my mind is already primed to think negatively. As soon as that thought comes to mind, whatever it is, like, man, I'm so dumb. I just blew another account or made a bad trade. I can't believe I did that. Bring it to a conscious level, whatever emotions you're feeling. Like, sit back, seriously take a breath, that physiological sigh that I always talk about. Take that deep breath. Say, okay, I'm feeling really frustrated because I said I was going to follow my risk management plan, and I didn't follow my risk management plan, and I started a revenge trade and I blew my account. How does that make me feel? Well, one, super disappointed in myself. I'm also frustrated because my expectations were not met. Bringing those emotions to a conscious level and be like, okay, well, what I do know is that I can focus on this as a learning lesson and remember these feelings and do better next time. And I know that sounds elementary, but if you start bringing those emotions to a mindful level and to a conscious level and saying, you know what, like, I'm so frustrated at myself. Maybe I don't even have time to think about it right now. I'm just going to go outside and take a walk, put my feet in the grass, get in nature, go back home in nature and get some sunlight on my face and say, okay, I am really frustrated at a computer screen right now, and I need to really focus on my priorities right now. And I need to thank God for my breath right now, for my ability to move, for my ability to reason with myself and move forward, and my shelter and the food that I have. And for me, a lot of those negative thoughts can be overridden by thoughts of gratitude. And that's a big thing for me. And again, I don't want to go too much into a tangent, but I could talk about this stuff all day because it's a daily battle for me. I do this daily. I think about this stuff daily. And gratitude, shifting your headspace from something negative to something positive, is so powerful, and it literally is physically changing the structure of your brain. So when you start to think about it and understand that it's really easy for me to fall into this bad habit, yeah, it's physically really easy for you to fall into that bad habit mentally. Like, it's a physical structure in your brain that is more likely to go that way than to the way you would want to. So start forming those good habits of, you know what, I'm going to practice gratitude instead of being really frustrated and sitting down and taking more trades. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to be mindful, and I'm going to think about one thing that I'm grateful for right now in the moment. And those small things, I started doing this practice probably 3 years ago. Number one thing that has changed my life besides Jesus is gratitude practice. It flipped my life on a 180. Like, literally, if I could recommend anything, it would be to practice gratitude, especially in times of hurt, in times of sickness, in times of where an expectation was not met. And those often can be very hurtful, especially when we're talking about relationships. But it's hard, man. It's just breaking those bad habits and moving forward. But if you want to talk offline, I'd love to talk with you more about that stuff on a personal level, because I know throwing out these broad umbrellas to try to help a specific situation isn't always as helpful as we'd like. But those are some tips that really have helped me. I'm so negative that when I try to be positive, I feel fake. I feel that too, man. I really do. And a really cool thing that I've incorporated in my life is acting. And so you may have that feeling of imposter syndrome, and where you're like, yeah, well, I'm just trying to fake myself into feeling happy or to doing it. But that will literally, thinking in that way, even if you say you're acting, it will start to change the structure of your brain. And if you start to understand that, and you start to think of in that way, to where the more I act, the more I will become like however I'm trying to act. And I think that's intuitive for some of us. You think about, faking it till you make it, and the Hollywood scene. And it's the same thing, like how I often think about being a future husband and a future father, and how being the best friend I could be. And I fail every day. I fail every single day. But I do, as a thought in my brain, is like, how would the person I want to become act in this situation right now? And I'd be like, okay, he would not sit on his phone right now and scroll away. He would go clean his restroom like he said he was going to do. Or he would not snooze the clock. And what he would do is jump out of bed and get into the cold shower. Like, if you start to act that way, even if you feel fake, I promise you it will shift the structure of your brain, and it will become easier over time. And soon enough, you won't even recognize those negative thoughts anymore. Those negative thoughts will start to feel fake. And if you think negatively again, like, now this kind of feels wrong. Like, this isn't my baseline. This feels weird. And so again, it's just, for me, it really does help to understand that these are physical and chemical things that are happening in our brain. And the more we shift into that positive side, it's going to help break up those old patterns, those neuron transmitters. Those are going to start to wear down, and we're going to start to strengthen on the positive side. So for me, that understanding really does help. And when I'm down in the dumps, man, and I know it's really, really hard sometimes. And so here's your encouragement to know that it's a physical attribute of your brain, and knowing that it's something that you could physically overcome is really beneficial for me, just by thinking. Like, just think. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. I get so excited about the biology and how things really work. And like, again, understanding is really something that helps me a lot. Well, folks, if you guys don't have anything else for me, that's all I got for you. Driving for a living gives me low tolerance. Oh, I think I missed some stuff. Sorry, folks. I started doing the 12 days positive reinforcement technique, and it helped me in my trading. This was 2 years ago. Yeah, it's crazy how just incorporating like a 5-minute protocol in your life, whether it's gratitude, whether it's breath work, whether it's meditation, whatever it might be, incorporating good habits in your life, life-changing. It's life-changing, and it's crazy. Driving for a living gives me a low tolerance. Oh, you're talking about for frustration and stuff. Yeah, I feel that, man. I think me and Bahama Lama are friends for a long time now. Over a decade, I think. That's so crazy to think about. But he knows I get so frustrated at drivers sometimes, but I am actively working on shifting that. As soon as I feel those emotions bubble up and I start to be overwhelmed with what people are doing, it's like, take a breath. Like, they may be experiencing something that I can't even understand. Like, their life may be so crazy, or they might be so in the dumps right now that it is not fair for me to assume what they're thinking, what they're going through. And so to take a breath and be like, all right, that just happened. Well, I could either be a little shit about it, or I could smile, force a smile on my face sometimes, and, sit back and relax. And it changed my life. 3 years ago I started, and it's been pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I actually remember the day that I realized my life was changing. I was driving down the road, and the sunset was behind me, and I was driving back home in Rainbow for those who know where that's at. And what freeway was that? 76. Driving just about to go into Rainbow. I was like, man, I've been feeling good. Like, I've been feeling better lately. And I was thinking about my life, and I was like, the only thing I've done differently is incorporated daily gratitude. Sometimes then at that time, it was like at night, I was like, okay, I'm going to pray, and I'm going to thank God for this, and this in my life. And it was like a structured thing back then. It did not feel natural. It felt like I was acting. And I was doing it for like a month at that point. And when I was driving back, I was like, why do I feel so good? Like, baseline right now. It's like, holy crap. The only thing that's changed is daily gratitude. And now I do it throughout the day. Like, now it's just something that I do. And my baseline is happiness now. And that's so foreign to me, because of the prior 20 years of my life was not like that at all. Not like that at all. And I think a lot of people could probably attest to that, those who knew me. But dude, that one thing, if I could recommend one thing to get you out of that negative headspace, is incorporate gratitude into your life. And it is life-changing. It's brain-changing, and it's life-changing. All right, folks. Well, I won't keep you guys too much longer. You guys stuck with me for an hour. Let's give ourselves a pat on the back for that. Appreciate you guys. I really do. You guys mean a lot to me. I love you guys. If you guys are struggling with anything, I do not care how messed up or dark the situation that you're going through. If I don't know you at all, reach out to me in my DMs, and I promise you I will do my best to help you. I really will. So gonna start the gratitude journal. Let's go, SS Trades. This is what I'm talking about. God smiles, I'm from high. Let's go, man. I appreciate all the kind words. You guys are the reason I do this. It makes me feel good. I hope it makes you guys feel good. And at a minimum, I hope these lessons give you guys some reminders or some new information on how to live a better life. So, and today was about long-term fitness strategies. Tomorrow it's going to be about conquering the world or something. I don't know. We'll get into it, folks. My mom cured from cancer and had logs of affirmations, gratitude journals. We'll do the same. That's so cool. I'm so happy for you and your mom. And it's really interesting, the studies that are coming out, and well done studies by some of the best journals in the world. And it's talking about how the shift of negative to positive thinking and the changes that happen on a structural level, on a physical level in your brain are starting to show how much improvement they see in cancer, diseases, viruses, your physical health as a whole, inflammation. It's incredible. I didn't want to go into it too much, but there is good literature coming out now that is showing us that shift of your mindset is so much more powerful than you might think. It's pretty cool. This is what makes your Discord apart from all the others I've seen. Yeah, that was a goal. I mean, we've been in the game for some time now, and we've saw, at least, again, I can't speak for my other teammates, but I saw a lot of greed and a lot of just nasty stuff in this game. And that happens, that comes with money, because money often leads to power. And and honestly, like, you see what happens when men and women get into power. It is typically a really ugly thing unless they have something to ground them. And so there's just a bunch of nasty stuff going on, and we wanted to start something different, something from a Christian standpoint, and to focus on the person, not on selling people how to make money, which is at the core still what we do, but it's so much more than that. Like, I truly care about you guys, and if all this disappears tomorrow, I'll know just from some of your guys' testimonies to me in my DMs that I did some good, and that's more than enough for me to keep going. So I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate the feedback, and I appreciate you guys, and I hope this is something long-term. No matter what any of us end up doing in life, maybe it's just someplace that we can all be a part of a true community if we can't find that anywhere else. So appreciate you guys tons. I really do. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Go tell your loved ones that you love them. Go work out today, even if it's just doing some jumping jacks. If you can't do jumping jacks because your back or your knee, dude, just get some movement in. Motion is lotion, friends. For us who have not worked out in a long time, you're gonna have to knock off the rust. Things are gonna be pretty rusty. Trust me, I've been in the same shoes before. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Go drink your water, go eat healthy, go do the whole thing. I'll catch you guys.